And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open for sales and service Monday through Saturday, and of course open all the time at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. As you know, I spent last week live from the Hive, is what I got to call it, the home of the Charlotte Hornets, in the coverage of the Atlantic Coast Conference men's basketball tournament. You can go to wakeupcalldt.com and you can check out all of my coverage of the ACC tournament on the homepage. You will find, if you scroll down, the written word, which features my articles. And of course, you can go to the articles tab on wakeupcalldt.com to get articles from the games, including the championship game. You can also click on the podcast page that is on wakeupcalldt.com, and that podcast page will bring you straight to all of my Q&As with coaches and players throughout the tournament. So, with the likes of head coach Ryan Odom of Virginia, as well as their student athletes, Duke Blue Devils men's basketball head coach John Shire, and of course, the list goes on and on and on. Clemson, North Carolina, as well as Louisville, NC State, Syracuse, Miami, and so on and so forth. So make sure you check out all of our coverage of the ACC men's basketball tournament, as Wake Up Call went live from the Hive this past week. And of course, celebrating our conversations with the wonderful people from the ACC, speaking with Brian Kersey, ACC supervisor of men's basketball officiating, was on the show, as well as someone who has worked with the ACC for a while as mascot coordinator of the women's basketball and men's basketball tournaments, as well as emceeing events for the ACC at the ACC kickoff and ACC tip-off, and overseeing his own company, 2D Consulting, that being Trip Durham. I welcome to the show for the first time ever Paul Brazo, and Paul Brazo is the Senior Vice President for ACC Men's Basketball, and then also having the opportunity to sit and talk with Bob Holliday, which I've done a bunch of times here on the show, but we actually got to do it in person, so that was awesome. So I want to give a shout out to Bob Holliday, who has covered 47 ACC men's basketball tournaments as of this year. So thank you to all my guests. Thank you to the city of Charlotte. Thank you to the Spectrum Center. And of course, thank you to God for giving me an opportunity to do something unique and something I haven't done for the show before, which is go live from the Hive at the Spectrum Center. So had a lot of fun and really appreciated the time. And of course, thank you to Alan Griffin, who joined me for a candid conversation, who is a longtime member of the Syracuse Orange men's basketball staff and a Syracuse Orange basketball alum, speaking with me after the staff was let go. So I got to talk with him as well. So many thanks to all my guests and to the entire experience. And of course, more than anything else, thanks to God. And of course, a big time thank you to the ACC and to all that they do. And of course, thank you to you for watching, listening, and reading throughout the week. With that being said, we're up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You may be asking yourself, why is the show on early today? And that is because Syracuse Pro Day is today. And with Syracuse Pro Day kicking off today at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, I got to get myself over to Pro Day. And so in order to do that, I had to do the show a little bit earlier. I just got home from Charlotte yesterday, and some of my days in Charlotte were 12 hours, some were 15 or 16. So it was a lot of work, a lot of fun. As you know, I do what I love, and I love what I do, and I'm very honored to be able to be there. So after all of those events and all of those moments, and getting to hang out with Superpowered Pop, one of our other broadcasts and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, with my studio partner Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne, and go live from his place and get to do a lot of cool things there, I jumped on the plane yesterday, took a direct flight home, and yeah, so it's been a little bit of a whirlwind. But this morning, there's something that I have to do. It's not something I want to do, and what I mean by that is, when is it ever a good time to talk about the passing of a friend, especially an untimely passing of a friend? And so I'm gonna do the best I can, because this this hit me yesterday, and it's something that you hope is fake. You know, the internet these days does a lot of stupid things, so you kind of just had a hope that maybe this thing was fake. But, you know, I got a message from a friend, and so we have to talk about this morning, and I'll do my best. Rex Culpepper passed away. 28 years old. Rex, I met when he was playing at HB Plant down in Tampa, Florida. And, you know, Rex just really nice kid. I got to interview him and his brother because they were both being recruited by Syracuse football at the time. And all I can say is I can't say anything bad about Rex Culpepper. It's a tribute to his life and how he lived it. And so this morning, as I come to you and I talk with you about this is very, very difficult, because we're talking about a good man. We're talking about a wonderful human being. And, you know, I got the news yesterday that he had passed away in a fatal car accident. He's not my first friend to pass away in a car accident. And it's not something that you're ever ready for, right? I was trying to find the words last night. I was trying to sit with it. But it's hard. It's hard to find the right thing to say. Like, what's the right thing to say? Because Rex, he always treated me with respect. He was always good to me. Always kind. You know, he's one of those people that you could lean on him when he needed somebody to lean on. He was one of those people that just, his heart got bigger, never smaller. And, I mean, the guy beat cancer, for goodness sakes. He beat cancer. He'd been through a lot, and him and I even had a conversation about doing a segment together, just me and him, and it was called Tea with Rex, and we started to do it. And I think it was around the time that he was studying for the bar and whatnot, so we couldn't do it regularly, but we did get to start it. I mean, it's up on our YouTube channel and all of that, and we got to have some fun, just him and I, and we could talk about anything. It wasn't just football, it was just life. Because, you know, Wake Up Call's tagline is where sports meets life. And, you know, we could just do that. We could just sit and talk about anything. And it was called Tea with Rex because T for Tortora and obviously Rex for Rex Culpepper. And in its own way, it was like have a cup of coffee with us, have a cup of tea with us, and let's just talk about life. And so, you know, Rex was somebody that I bring up that story because, you know, him and I, our bond went beyond just simply doing an interview here and there. And I don't know what to say, because all that comes in my mind is he is a good man, a kind man, a hardworking man, somebody who responded to adversity well, somebody who just could take whatever the world gave him, and he just kept going. And he was one of those, and this has happened to me more than once now, it's like, oh man, we haven't talked in a while, I got to give him a call. And then you find something like this out. You know, those moments in your life where you're like, man, it's been a minute since I talked to this friend, and I want to reach out, and then you find out that friend passed away. 28 years old. 28. So, Eric Dungy, who was a teammate of Rex Culpepper, put out a message. He said, quote, "Rip Rexy, a guy who had zero fear and truly lived life to the fullest. Thanks for all the memories, brother," end quote. And I think that's one of the best things we can say about him. He lived without fear. And, thinking about him last night and talking about him last night, I was sitting on the phone and I was like, people know my personality. And I like to laugh and I like to have deep conversations and I like to talk about things that matter and I like to smile and I like to show people they matter. And yesterday I just kind of I felt like I was just, I like staring at a wall. Like I was blank. And I thought about Rex and I was like, man, if Rex could hear me now, he'd be like, brother, go laugh, go have fun. Like, what are you doing? Don't be sad about me. Like, I'm good. I'm in heaven. Just go have fun. Just go be you, man. Go be great. And that was the thing, is he was always about all of us. And I mean, what do you say about a guy that you thought was going to do a million different things successfully for the rest of his life? And here we are. He's 28. So, not that there's ever a good time for a good person to pass away, because there's not. I mean, when G-Mama passed away, she was 100 in 9 days, and the world needs her now more than ever. So, all I can say this morning about someone that I consider a friend is that it never had anything to do with football with us. Yeah, we talked about it, but ultimately, he treated me like family. He gave me probably more credit than I deserve. And it's just a shot in the side. I think about his mom and his dad. I think about his brother, Judge. And moments like this just aren't fair. Now, I believe in God. And I don't waver in that. I can't tell you the whys of these moments because I don't know. But I can tell you that if I've learned anything from Rex, from his living, not just his passing, it's that you should live your life to the fullest. You should give all you can. And if people don't appreciate what you give, that's fine. Give it anyways. Do it anyways. Be the best that you possibly can be. Do everything that you can do. Just run your tank down to empty in giving to this world and loving this world and just being who you are, so that when it is your time, you can say that you don't regret anything, that you tried with everything you could. You've done everything you could. And even if the world didn't accept you, you accepted yourself. If I learn anything from Rex, love yourself, accept yourself, be yourself, bet on yourself, trust yourself, believe in yourself. And man, the ripple effect of his passing is going to hit so many people, and that's because he's a good person. And thinking about that last night, I was like, in some like positive twist to all of this, we're sad today because of the human being he is. We're sad because he made an impact positively. If somebody treats people terribly, then you don't, it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not happy for anybody dying ever. But when somebody's like mean and heartless and they pass away, you don't hear a lot of people talk about it, right? But when somebody great passes away, it just friggin' sits with you because you're like, why? Why Rex? And today's pro day, which is so weird. And I kept thinking about that. I'm like, this would be a day years ago that he'd be out there throwing. And I'm going to think about him the entire time. And I'm really going to miss him. I'm really going to miss him. So I'm going to share with you the last video he sent me. So last thing he said to me. When I was celebrating 21 years in broadcasting, I reached out to people that have been a part of it, and I just said, hey, if you want to say something, I'd appreciate it. And this is what Rex sent me.
Mr. Tortora, coming at you from the middle of the woods in Florida. I want to say congratulations and thank you on your 21st anniversary of broadcasting. There's a lot of guys out there who do all the wrong things to get the most clicks. You've never been that guy. You helped me and countless other athletes tell my story and our stories. So thank you very much. Wish you the best, and I hope to see you soon.
Where the hell have you been?
So, I love how it goes on to Kevin Costner after that. But yeah, so that was Rex, man. I think he almost got me to cry when he sent me that. But, yeah, I mean, just be a good person and empty your tank doing the best you can. That's the best thing I can tell you is life is short. Moments are fleeting. And we spend a lot of time worrying about the future and what could happen. And we spend a lot of time worrying about what has happened in the past and if it could happen again. And we don't spend a lot of time in the present. And I just feel like Rex was spending more and more time in the present. And I will absolutely miss our conversations. I will miss hearing his voice. And I'm getting really tired of doing this, man. I'm getting really, really tired of doing this. There's too many good people. And, man, life is a teacher. Sometimes it feels like a taker. And the best thing I can tell you is love God, love yourself, and just be a good person. Just be a good person. Don't let the past bother you. It happened. It sucks sometimes. But we've all been through stuff, and anyone that I've talked to has been through something. Anyone and everyone. So don't live in the past. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about what's coming around the corner or how it can screw up. Just be in the moment today. Be in the moment right now today. And just be nice and try and do the things, man. Ask her out. Ask him out. Go for the job. Go for a run. Go on that trip. My Lord, go on that trip. Stop waiting. Stop waiting for life to come to you, and you have to go get it. You have to. You have to go get it, and it's scary. I know. But you have to go get it. You have to. You have to. And Rex went and got it. And I'm going to miss the heck out of you, brother. But I know you're in heaven, and that gives me peace. So, thank you for all the good times. Thank you for the memories. And if you get a chance, just grab my shoulders, you know. Just give me a little grab on my shoulders. Let me know that you got your wings. So, we'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We'll talk about the NCAA tournament and just go after what you want in life, folks, and be yourself. We're so worried that the world's not going to like us, and blank the world. That's what I would say. Blank the world. Who cares? At the end of the day, just be yourself. Because the impact that you will make as being you is better than the impact you'll ever make pretending to be something else. We'll be back after this. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry-loving friend. Right, Lily? New York, great cars, great people, Great Lakes. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. You know, we want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to a Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I mean, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. I mean, you can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, you know, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, you know, everyone in the world's going to sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, you know, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place. And I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. A delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Caz location and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point, because you get a little something different at each one. You know, we understand how hard it is to, you know, work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios, and Murph and I are picture in picture as we take a look at the bracket seeding predictions that I had yesterday, as well as the at-large bid predictions that I had, and what's to come in the NCAA tournament for Division I men's basketball, as the Wake Up Call Bracket Challenge is officially open on our on the Yahoo Tourney Pick'em, so you can go ahead and become a part of it if you would like. And I'm going to put the link here on all of our channels so that you can connect to it and be a part of it. So Murph, I know you waited patiently here as we did a little tribute to Rex this morning, so I appreciate you being here, appreciate you being a part of the show as always, and getting to us a little bit earlier because of Pro Day today. So happy to have you here as always.
Of course, my friend, good to see you as always. And also, I just thought that was a beautiful tribute to your friend. I'm sorry for your loss. That was, that's never an easy thing to deal with. So I thought you did a good job remembering him and, talking about the great things about him. I'm sure he's looking down and smiling today. But yeah, I'm excited to talk some college basketball, some World Baseball Classic, a little bit of everything here. So it's always a good Monday morning.
Yeah, no, and thank you. I appreciate that. It's hard. It's just hard, and that's what it comes down to. It's hard to find words sometimes, and But I know Rex. Like I said, I know that he'd be like, come on, brother, So I know he always wanted that, the energy and the positivity and all that. So, I mean, I appreciate him and I appreciate your words. Before we get into the NCAA tournament and how everything's shaken out, and we will go and take a look at each of the brackets. And like I said, I'll break down my predictions on what I had. The 31 automatic bids. I misspoke, said 32, but the 31 automatic bids that happened. I gave my seeding on where I thought they would go potentially, so we'll recap that, see if I was right, wrong, and where I was at, and then my 37 at-large bids, how many of those did I get correct? So we will take a look at that, but let's go to the World Baseball Classic first and get your thoughts on that before we break down the NCAA tournament. So just an overall take. Team Italy doing their thing, but your overall take on how things have been going inside of the WBC.
I think it's been great. Obviously, Team USA needed Team Italy's help in order to make it to the quarterfinals, and they got it in a big way as they basically beat the brakes off of Mexico in the final game of Pool B. But ultimately, looking at it now, I mean, obviously, Team USA with the win over the Dominican Republic last night, with Team Japan out, I would argue that was probably the two best teams remaining. I do think Italy is a very good baseball team. I think their energy is really, really good, and I'm not surprised that they've, gotten as far as they have. Venezuela knocking off Team Japan, the reigning champions, was something something very unexpected. And that's going to be a really good game tonight between Team Italy and Team Venezuela in order to advance for the right to play the United States on Tuesday night in Miami. But I'm very much looking forward to it. I do want to point out that the ABS Challenge system coming to Major League Baseball this year should have been in the WBC as well. I don't know why it isn't. There were two very controversial strike calls at the end of that game, one to Juan Soto and one to literally end the game to Geraldo Perdomo, that were not close. Great job by Will Smith to frame it. Those two pitches were not close. They were not strikes. So, I saw that strike call at the end of the game. It would have been ball four, and they would have had two men on. And I'm watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm excited that we won, but that pitch was not even close to being a strike. You don't want to win a game like that. You don't want to end a game like that. That was, a couple people were tweeting about it on X, that is a horrible way to end a baseball game with a very controversial call like that. Thank goodness we will never really have to see that again with the ABS challenge system. Granted, teams can run out of challenges at the end of a game.
Yeah.
And you could have that situation play out. I don't necessarily expect it to happen because I would imagine these guys are going to be pretty accurate in what they think is a ball and a strike. Because I think mostly, I don't see the pitchers challenging very many of these. I think it would mostly be the catchers and the hitters. But that's something that should have been in the WBC. I'm very much looking forward to the championship game tomorrow night. But, who we play, That's the $1 million question. It's going to be, you know, Mets prospect Nolan McLean taking the mound. Got hit pretty hard by Team Italy in his first start. Maybe he gets a chance to get some revenge. I'm very much looking forward to that, but Italy Venezuela is going to be a great game. I don't know who's going to win. I'd like it to be Team Italy so that we can have a chance at redemption. Um, but Venezuela's a good team. You can't count them out either.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, I mean, there's things that have happened within this World Baseball Classic that have surprised some people. Maybe some things that haven't surprised some people. But I think the best part of it, and I say this all the time, is it's moments like this. It's the Olympics that show us that we can all be together. Shows us that this world can find a way to be peaceful and to converge in one area and do things together. I say this all the time when it comes to the Olympics, and I'll say it with the World Baseball Classic. If we could start acting in the world the way that we see the Olympics and all this stuff play out and the World Baseball Classic play out, could we put ourselves in a position where this world becomes a better place, where we can have this connection of people? And I love it. That's what I love when we talk about the world can't seem to agree, and countries are fighting with each other, and countries are fighting within each other, and how does this world become a better place? And then we see these worldly events, and people find a way to be together, to play a game that they love. And the World Baseball Classic, it takes people from all over the world. It connects them in the fact that they all love the same sport, and then they get to play it and they get to do it together, and it's a beautiful thing. So I just feel that more than anything else, I love seeing moments like this because it gives me hope for the world that at least through sports we can find commonality. And I just would love for that to branch out and spread like wildfire in a good way. And but I mean, I'm happy for Team Italy. I was hopeful, and they have definitely come through, and that makes me happy as someone who is very proud to have Italian blood and just went back to Italy and got to go to two different regions where my mom's family growing up in the Calabrian region, and going to a place that has my name in Tortora, and then going to Maddaloni outside of Naples where my dad's family grew up. So I'm happy to see Italy. I'm happy to see Team USA, of course, as a citizen of this beautiful country. So I would say that I'm a little spoiled right now with the way that things have shaped out, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it and appreciate it. I've been very much into the basketball world, and so I've been more heavily leaned there, and that's, with my coverage of the ACC tournament, and you have 3 games on the first day, 4 games on the second day, 4 games on the third day, 2 games on the fourth day, and the championship on the 5th day, plus trying to make sure I'm keeping an eye on the rest of the country and making my predictions and doing all that stuff. So this time of year is insane when it comes to March Madness, but all in a good way. And it's funny, I got asked the question, like, are you having fun? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing what I love, and I'm loving what I do, and I'm running around. It's like, yeah, but are you having fun? And I was like, yeah, I mean, like that my work is my play. So, because it's like, it sounds like you're doing a lot of work, sounds like it's hectic, sounds like it's stressful, but are you having fun? And I was like, yeah, I am. I mean, I wouldn't throw myself into this craziness if it wasn't fun for me. And more than anything else, I mean, I'm at these events to talk to the players and talk to the coaches and build relationships. And I got to see Malik Brown again, who transferred from Syracuse to Duke. And I got to see Quadir Copeland, who transferred from Syracuse to McNeese State to NC State. I got to see a bunch of the coaches that I know and, spend some time. And I got to shake hands and talk with, off the air, Andy Enfield of SMU, Adrian Autry, before he was let go at Syracuse. And I got to talk with Hubert Davis of North Carolina, John Shire of Duke, Brad Brownell of Clemson, Pat Kelsey of Louisville. I don't want to miss anybody, Ryan Odom of Virginia. So, I mean, to me, it's about networking. It's about building relationships and being a big kid. So I can't say enough about the event. But yeah, while the World Baseball Classic's going on, I'm writing stories, going to the game, or I'm going to the games, broadcasting from the arena, writing stories, going on social media and putting up posts, doing interviews, making sure the interviews go up, shooting video. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into the day-to-day of the ACC tournament and just covering sports in general for me. So it was a whirlwind that there's a lot going on, and then all of a sudden it's over. It's so weird. It's like you're in the thick of it and you're like, oh my goodness. I remember this time around, I was thinking to myself, have I always been doing 15 straight hours of this tournament? Like, it was just weird to think about. I think it was more this year because I broadcasted from the arena. So when I'm normally doing noon and 2:30 and 7 and 9:30 games in a day, I was getting to the arena before 9:30 in the morning to do the show. So I was getting up at 8 and then going to bed at 2. And so, it kind of expanded this year more than it ever had. So that's probably why it felt a little different. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on right now, Murph, and there's a lot of amazing things. And I'm happy for the World Baseball Classic to be happening right now. At the same time, I'm in one of my favorite times of the year, which is March Madness.
Oh, everybody loves March Madness, man. I'm not a huge college basketball fan until March Madness really rolls around. Obviously, I pay attention to what my team's doing, what St. John's is doing, because it's my dad's team. So, I pay attention to that. I see what else is happening around the country. Obviously, I saw what was going on with Miami of Ohio, and we'll get into that later. But, I always pay attention to, what the bracket looks like, and haven't really gone through it much. Like, I know, for the most part, where teams are. Haven't really gone through it to see who I'm going to pick to win it all this year. Um, there's a non-zero chance I might end up picking Florida again, but who knows? It's my team, but and they're a 1 seed, so that helps. But yeah, usually what I'll do the first bracket I do, like the bracket that I'm actually going to like. This is the number one bracket I put into all of my pools.
Yeah.
So like I'll put it in yours. I'm gonna put it in my college one. I'm gonna put it. I think we're doing a work pool that I'm gonna put it in. So that'll be the main bracket that I put into all of those pools. Now, granted, putting all of your eggs in one basket could go really poorly. Could also go really good. But it ultimately is going to come down to who wins, obviously. But I was a little surprised to see St. John's as a 5 seed after beating UConn to win the Big East.
Beating UConn by 20.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw they were only a 5 seed. Like I could easily, I mean, but they got a terrible region draw. They're in the same region as Duke and the aforementioned UConn Huskies. Yet they won the Big East.
Yeah.
The second year in a row. To me, they're going to end up playing Duke, and that's going to be the toughest. That's probably going to be the best Sweet 16 game in the tournament, in my opinion, just based off what I'm already seeing. I'd love for them to knock off Duke. I really would. But who knows what's going to happen? Like I gotta start doing some research, and usually what I do is I'll look at who you've beaten, who you've lost to, and kind of comparing them to the teams that you're playing. That's how I determine who I'm going to pick in my bracket. So, I'm excited to do that. I'll probably do that either sometime later today or sometime early tomorrow. But this time of year is always fun, man. Thursday, Friday roll around. We got games on games on games from noon all the way up until about 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and my favorite part is this Thursday and Friday. And, I mean, that's my absolute favorite part of the tournament is the first couple days outside of the first four, because the first four will happen on Tuesday and Wednesday. The play-in games in Dayton, Ohio, will have two on, I think it's what, two on Tuesday, two on Wednesday.
Two on Wednesday, yeah.
And they'll obviously whoever wins those will land in their spot. So I'm looking at it right now. So we have Howard is going to take on UMBC as 16 seeds. NC State will take on Texas as 11 seeds, and those are going to be on March 17th, which is tomorrow. And then Lehigh and Prairie View A&M will take on each other at the 16 line, and 11 SMU will take on 11 Miami of Ohio as on March 18th. And so that'll decide the first four. And then the round of 64, which is what I'm talking about, the first official round of the tournament, that round, the round of 64, that is my favorite. Thursday and Friday of this week, which will be March 19th and March 20th, Thursday and Friday of this week, there are 16 basketball games a day.
That's gonna be so fun.
I want every round of the tournament to be this. I know it would go on forever.
I know, yeah.
But it's my favorite part, and I have to enjoy it. And I talked about living in the moment. I look all year forward to the tournament, and then when the tournament comes around, it's never the same after the first round for me. Like, I love the tournament, and I watch it, but there is nothing like Thursday and Friday where the game starts at noon and the last game ends around 1 a.m. And I will sit there, and I will lock in, and I will watch it, and I'm all about that life. So this is my absolute favorite part of the tournament, and I will be in it and sitting with it. And on Thursday, when I get off the show at 11 o'clock, I will be running to a television set. And I'm looking at my schedule right now, and I have 2 meetings on Friday, and I have nothing that I've allowed myself to do on Thursday. so I will be, and one of the things I have to do on Friday is get a massage. So I'm in really good shape. So because I can't, like,
You better do that early in the morning.
I know the Thursday and Friday stuff is just, it's my favorite part. My favorite part. 32 teams in action on Thursday, 32 teams in action on Friday, 16 games, noon tip-off to a 9 whatever tip-off that ends at 1 a.m. I tell you, folks, it is like the best. It's watching The Matrix, and I have YouTube TV, so I'll be like watching everything that I possibly can, and I can't wait. So let's break it down. Let's take a look at these brackets. I want to talk about my predictions here. And you know that Ross Turetsky will be joining me. I think it's year 15 that we're doing this. It's called The Drive, capital D for Dan and capital R for Ross. And so it's called The Drive. It's proudly presented exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Honda City, our studio partner. And we go through the entire tournament. We're going to be picking our bracket. So all of that's going to be happening this Wednesday, March 18th. Ross and I will unveil our entire bracket. And so today I'm going to talk about my predictions and kind of what I thought. And I'm going to do it region by region here. And then Murph and I will talk about it. So I'll do my East region thoughts, and then Murph and I will discuss. And then we'll go to the South, the Midwest, and the West. So in the East region, Duke being a 1 seed, this was something that I predicted here, 32-2. I think this was an easy prediction. And then Siena being a 16 seed, I did not agree with Siena being a 16 seed. I thought Siena, I was like, maybe they'll put them as like a 15 or a 14, but I didn't think they were going to put them against a 1. Jerry McNamara, in just his second season of being a head coach and second season with the Siena Saints, has gotten the team from the basement of the MAAC to being an NCAA tournament team, winning the MAAC, and I watched that game, and I'm super happy for them. Ohio State making it into this This is some Big Ten love. Their net ranking wasn't bad, but they were one of the last teams that I thought about. So I did not put Ohio State in the NCAA tournament. There were a couple other teams I was looking at, but to put them in and then to raise them to 8, that I don't agree with. TCU getting in. TCU was a predicted team that I had here inside of the Big 12. I had the Big 12 getting a bunch of teams in the tournament. So going back and looking at it, I had Houston outside of who won the Big 12, which was Arizona. I had Houston, Kansas, Iowa State, Texas Tech, BYU, and I don't know why I didn't write TCU on here. Maybe I put them in a different place. But yeah, so TCU not necessarily surprised. Maybe they weren't on my original, but I'm not surprised that they're in it. St. John's, I am surprised that St. John's is a 5 seed. I'm going to agree with Murph on this. The 5-12 matchup, the Trip-'em game that we've had for many years, I don't know why they did this to St. John's. St. John's beat UConn by 20 in the championship. They played UConn 3 times this year. They beat UConn 2 out of 3 times. So I don't know how St. John's got punished. I do not agree with this. I would have put St. John's, I actually would have put them as the 2 seed. So this is surprising to me. Northern Iowa, they won their conference tournament. So Northern Iowa winning the Missouri Valley Conference. They're a team that's done some things in the past. So being a 12 seed, I'm okay with that. I'm good on that. And then as far as Kansas goes, I had Kansas getting into the tournament, putting them at a 4 seed. Am I surprised with Bill Self and the history of it? No, because they say they do it year by year, but the reality is I think they look at coach. I think they look at history. I think they look at pedigree. I think they look at logo. And so, I mean, Kansas being a 4 seed, not surprising. Cal Baptist being a 13 seed, I believe it's Cal Baptist's first time here in the tournament. This was something that I thought maybe they put them a little bit higher, but I mean, I figured they were going to be on one of those lower lines, 14 to 16. Louisville being a 6 seed, I predicted that Louisville would make the tournament. I'm happy that Louisville made the tournament, and I think Pat Kelsey's done a tremendous job with them in his 2 seasons there, coming from the College of Charleston, who was in the Miami of Ohio place a few years ago, when it was like, yeah, they're 31-0, but if they lose a game, they're probably not going to make the tournament. So the College of Charleston, some pundits were saying they need to win their conference tournament just to get in, even though they're undefeated. And they did, which Miami of Ohio did not. But, shout out to Pat Kelsey and the work that he's doing. Always great to talk with him. South Florida, the champion of the American. I don't know what type of pipe is being smoked by the NCAA selection committee and what's in that pipe, but they only took 1 team from the American. And the resurgence of Wichita State, who was one of those teams that shocked the world and fittingly are called the Shockers, I am very surprised that with Wichita State rising to being the 2nd seed in the American tournament, playing in the American Championship up against top-seeded South Florida, how they did not make this tournament. How once again, you got to take 47 teams from the SEC. I mean, this to me was a slap in the face of the American. They've been like a 1-bid team or 1-bid conference for a bunch of years now. And with Wichita State, I understand them not taking Tulsa. Like, I get it because I looked at Tulsa's schedule, so I understand. But taking Miami of Ohio over Wichita State, like, I argued Miami of Ohio should be in. I was like, listen, they lost 1 out of the 32 games they played. I think they got a right to be in here. But to not have Wichita State, to not have any other American team except for the American champion, that to me was just not a good look by the NCAA selection committee. Michigan State getting in, am I surprised? No, it's Tom Izzo. He gets a 3 seed. That seed might be a little bit higher than I would go, but I'm okay with it. North Dakota State is a 14 seed. Not surprised. They won their conference tournament. UCLA getting into this thing. I had UCLA making the tournament, so I did predict them as an at-large team. This is one that I was thinking about, but I didn't think the committee would do, so I'm shockingly surprised in a positive way that UCF made the tournament as an at-large bid out of the Big 12. Now, if UCF had the same season and they were in the American still, probably wouldn't be in. That's the BS that I call on the NCAA selection committee when it comes to the American. But, UCF getting in, I did not have them as one of my 37 at-large bids because I didn't think the committee was going to do it. But they did, and they surprised me in a good way. UConn being a 2 seed, little surprised in this, losing by 20 in their championship game. I had them in, but I did not have them in as a 2 seed. And then Furman getting in as a 15. Furman won their conference tournament. I'm not surprised that they were put on a lower line here. What I am surprised about this, Murph, is that in the East region, here's Duke, who's a good team, right? So here's Duke, but then you give Duke in their own bracket, you give them St. John's, you give Duke Kansas, you give Duke Louisville, you give Duke Michigan State, you give them UCLA, who could trip up against UCF, and you give them UConn. So to me, looking at this bracket, the one thing that I think is, and Duke's going to play whoever comes in front of them, and Duke's not going to complain. But look at this bracket. Look at the East and what Duke got for a 32-2 record, for all the work they did, and for being without some players due to injury, but not even looking like they're without anything. What a field that Duke has to go through just to get to the Sweet 16, then the Elite 8 and Final Four, and so on and so forth. To have these schools here, the St. John's, the Kansases, the UConns, and then to put St. John's and UConn in the same bracket, I don't know if I agree with the committee overloading the bracket the way that they did, but I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, the East is a gauntlet, man. Any one of those teams that you listed could easily come out of this conference, or come out of this region. To me, I think it's going to be one of Duke, St. John's, or UConn to make it to the Final Four from the East. I don't know who that's going to be. I'm going to have to sit down and do some research. I know if it came down to St. John's and UConn, and that can be an Elite 8 matchup, I would pick St. John's again. UConn, yeah, they won one game. St. John's beat them twice. Yeah. I think St. John's can handle UConn. I really do. So to me, I think in terms of just by seeding, St. John's is the scariest team in this region. I'm 100% with you. I don't believe UConn should have been a 2 seed. I said to my dad last night, I was hoping St. John's would probably get a 2 seed because I think they deserved a 2 seed. They beat UConn twice. They beat a lot of good teams. So to me, St. John's should have been seeded higher. 3 at the lowest, to me, would have made sense. But I kind of look at this and see them as the, the odds-on favorite that's not named Duke to come out of the conference. And they're going to have to play Duke in the Sweet 16 if they get there. That's never an ideal, scenario when you have to go in and play, the number 1 overall seed. But here's the thing. 1 seeds fall all the time. All the time. When you do your bracket, it's just going to be a matter of picking the right ones to lose where. Right? Are we going to sit here and say you're going to go win your office pool by taking our advice? Probably not. Right? Can you do a little better than maybe you would have on your own? Maybe. I'm not an expert. You're more of an expert than I am. But I've picked the winner multiple times now from the beginning. Ironically, one of those winners that I picked was UConn. Won me a lot of money that year, so thank you, Dan Hurley and the UConn Huskies for winning the first of your back-to-back championships. So I picked the winner of the tournament 2 of the last 3 years. So I'm thrilled about that one. I'd love to see St. John's make a run for my dad's sake because I think I also think they're a fun team to watch. Don't try to ask me about players because I barely even know players on my own favorite team, but because I don't watch it enough. But I look at what they've done against who, right? I also look at what have you done for me lately.
Yeah,
there is some recency bias in the NCAA tournament. You could be a team that comes in, ice cold, and then you get hot going into the tournament. Maybe you lose in the first round of your conference championship, and then conference championship tournament or conference tournament, and then you go out and you play really well in the NCAA tournament and you make a run.
Yeah.
We've also seen Cinderellas plenty. Is there a Cinderella that I could see coming out of this region or making some noise out of this region? I don't know. I mean, maybe a South Florida is the one that I could think of. I mean, just off the top, just off the rip, I'm thinking without looking, I'd probably pick South Florida to beat Louisville. I don't see any of the I don't see St. John's losing. I don't see Kansas losing. I don't see Michigan State losing. And I definitely don't see Duke or UConn losing. But I mean, to me, I don't see the Cinderella out of this region. I don't.
Yeah.
They'll be somewhere, and like I said, I haven't looked, I've seen the bracket. I haven't looked that hard at it yet. So, for me, these were going to kind of be coming up a little bit off the rip, but I don't see a real Cinderella in the East region right now.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to look at it, I would say, there's a team like Northern Iowa who's had some history, but I don't imagine St. John's losing. And, I think UCF could be another team, maybe a TCU who's a 9 seed could do some damage here.
I mean, is a 9 or a 10 seed really a Cinderella, though?
It depends.
Unless they make it to the Final Four.
That's what I'm saying. If TCU were to play some like Duke and make
I
that
was
a game.
I was thinking you see your double-digit seed that makes it to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8.
Yeah.
I don't see that in that region at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a loaded region of high seeds of the St. John's, UConn world, and of course, I mean, just everything about this. Michigan State. You have John Shire, you have Tom Izzo, you have Dan Hurley, Rick Pitino, all in the same bracket, which is just wild to me.
The amount of national championship wins that are in that region is absurd all time.
Yeah, it's crazy. So looking at the South region, this is
my favorite.
Yeah, this is Murph's here. Florida being a 1 seed, I was concerned they weren't going to do this for them because Florida did not play in the championship of the SEC tournament. So I thought they were going to drop Florida to a 2 seed. Also with the fact that when they were trying to, during the season, talking about who could be potential 1 seeds, they talked about Duke, they spoke about UConn, they spoke about Arizona. Florida's lost to all 3 of those teams in non-conference play. So I thought that Florida had to win the SEC to be the 1 seed, but they end up getting the 1 seed in the South region either way here. So we'll see how they do with that. Lehigh and Prairie View A&M, I'm not surprised that either one of those teams got the 16 line or that they're doing a play-in game against each other. Clemson, I had predicted would get in with Brad Brownell. He was confident. He said, we're looking forward to next week and what's coming up. So I am not surprised that Clemson got in here. Not surprised they put him as an 8-9 matchup because they're going to make it difficult for them. They're going to have to play the 1 if they win. Iowa was another team I predicted would get in as an at-large team out of the Big Ten. So this is none of that surprising to me or kind of where they're at. Vanderbilt was a team that I predicted to get in to the tournament. They lost in the championship game in the SEC to Arkansas and John Calipari. So Vandy I had getting in. Vandy is a 5 seed in the 5-12 matchup. That's a trip 'em game against McNeese. Let's give McNeese some credit here. They have made the NCAA tournament, the Cowboys have, in 2 of the last 3 seasons. Not only have they made it in 2 of the last 3 seasons by winning their conference tournament 2 of the last 3 seasons, but they've done it with different players and a different head coach. So shout out to McNeese, who has built an environment of winning there for their team and have done it with different coaching staffs and different players, which makes it even better out of the Southland Conference. So shout out to McNeese. I think that's a trip 'em game for Vandy. Nebraska, I did not know this. Nebraska has never won an NCAA tournament game. They're 0-8.
Really?
They are 0-8. And so
Wow.
I had Nebraska getting into the tournament.
Sneaky pick, Troy?
Yeah, 4 seeds a little high here. 4 seeds a little high, I think. maybe they should have been the 5 matchup, but I don't think they wanted to put them at the 5 because I didn't think they want them to lose to McNeese. But I think Troy is going to be a test for them. I'm not surprised with Troy being on the 13 line. And Troy got in by winning their conference as well. They won the Sun Belt. So not surprised at where Troy was sitting at. North Carolina, another team I predicted would get in here. They get in as a 6 seed, and they draw VCU. VCU getting in after winning the A10. So VCU gets in being a champion. Not surprised at where they put the A10 line, and North Carolina, like I said, I predicted them getting in. I had the ACC getting at least 8 bids, and they got 8 bids. So shout out to the NCAA selection committee finally coming off of the ACC's not that good. So they're done with that, hopefully. Hopefully they got, if they watched a second of the ACC tournament, they would be like, oh. I mean, and there's only one team out of the ACC that I'm surprised didn't get in, and that's Florida State. They pushed Duke to a 1-point game. A 1-point game. Clemson lost to Duke by double digits in the semifinals. In the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament, Florida State lost to Duke 80-79 by scoring with 37 seconds left to go and then not scoring again. So I am surprised that Florida State's not here, but that's the only surprise of the ACC. I thought they would have at least 8, and they got 8. So Illinois getting in. I had Illinois coming in as an at-large team out of the Big Ten. They like the Big Ten, so the Big Ten gets a 3 seed. Not surprised that Penn here gets a 14 seed coming out of the Ivy League. They won yesterday, but they were 18-11, so figured they would get a lower seed. St. Mary's, I predicted St. Mary's getting in. I predicted that the West Coast Conference would have 3 teams, and they did. Gonzaga, their champions, St. Mary's, and Santa Clara as at-large bids. So St. Mary's being put on the 7-10 line, that's where they're usually put. One team I did not predict was going to get into this tournament is Texas A&M. So a little surprised here that Texas A&M got in out of the SEC, but they did make it into the field. Looking at the net rankings, they weren't a high net ranking team. Houston being a 2 seed is not a surprise to me. Kelvin Sampson's done an incredible job with everything he's done since coming into Houston, and I love talking with him. And then Idaho getting a 15 seed. I'm not surprised. Idaho came out of the Big West, and with Idaho winning out of the, Big Sky, coming out of the Big Sky Conference 21-14, their record, I figured that they would be put on a lower line. So most of this South region I agree with, but I am surprised that they gave Florida a 1 seed, with Florida not playing for the SEC title game and losing to a bunch of teams that are either 1 or 2 seeds.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at that too. I was honestly expecting them to be a 2 seed, probably, maybe in the Midwest. But I'll take the 1 seed. It's an easier path. I honestly don't think this is a difficult region at all. I look at the teams in the South region, and I look at who they could possibly play in an Elite 8 game. I think it's going to be 1-2. I really do. I also think they're going to get a chance to get back at Vanderbilt for knocking them out of the SEC tournament. I don't think they would lose to Vandy twice. So I think that's going to be their toughest game going into a possible Elite 8 matchup. Yes, I'm rooting for Lehigh. No, I don't expect Lehigh to beat Florida. I'm not rooting for Lehigh to beat Florida. I'm rooting for Lehigh to win their playing game. Local connection and all. But I got some people that I know that are students at Lehigh. So I'm hoping that they win their playing game. I don't expect them to beat Florida, that's for sure. I will say though that if there is one number 1 seed that is vulnerable, I do think it is the Florida Gators, as much as that kills me to say. But again, looking at this matchup, looking at this region, I had no idea Nebraska had never won an NCAA tournament game. They're 0-8. Can Troy make it 0-9? I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing Nebraska ranked, seeded this high. So I think this is their chance to go in and win their first NCAA tournament game. I remember 2 years ago when McNeese was in the tournament, I picked them to be my Cinderella. I think I picked them to make it all the way to the Sweet 16, and I don't think they even won their first round matchup. I think they were They did win the first
They
round
beat
match.
Clemson. Yeah.
Okay. I think okay, maybe it was somebody else. But I know I know I picked them. And I think I picked them to the Sweet 16. I don't think they got to the Sweet 16, right? I think they lost in the round of 32.
Yeah.
I think. Okay. I could see them beating Vanderbilt, man. Vanderbilt to me, yeah, they got to win over Florida. And they made it to the SEC championship game, lost to John Calipari and Arkansas. But I don't know. That's going to be a tricky game for me to pick. And like I said, I gotta do some research, and I gotta see who the popular Cinderella picks are, and really do my research on them. That's what I do, man. Like, I'll really look deep into who has played who has beaten who. I don't look so much at what the player stats are, or who you got, and what this, that, and the other. I look at who you've played, who you've beat. So that's how I usually go about my brackets, and we'll see what that looks like, later in the day, later in the week, because obviously you'll have till Thursday morning or Thursday at noon to submit. But I would look at that 4-13 matchup, Nebraska and Troy, as a possible, and even the Vanderbilt, even the 5-12 game too, as possible upsets. Maybe a VCU over North Carolina as well. I think North Carolina is still a good basketball team. That would probably be the other one I would look at. I don't see St. Mary's losing to Texas A&M. I know I like to take 10s over 7s. I don't see that one happening. I typically there was a stretch every single year for probably about 7 or 8 years where I always picked the Ivy League team to win their first round matchup.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it paid off. Between Harvard and Yale and UPenn, like winning NCAA tournament games, they did it. I think the Ivy League won probably 4 or 5 years in a row, as like 12 seeds. I can't justify it as a 14 seed. They've been seeded low in the last couple of years, which is surprising to me. But I cannot pick UPenn this year. It's sad, but another somewhat local team. But I can't take Penn to beat Illinois. I got to do some research on the 8-9 matchup, Clemson and Iowa. Clemson's a good team. I feel like this year we're not going to see as many 8-9 upset or 9-8 upsets. But then again, with NIL, we're starting to see less and less upsets. We're not really seeing Cinderella teams anymore. Or at least as making as deep a runs as, like a St. Peter's did, or like Butler back in the days with Gordon Hayward as an 8 seed, making it all the way to the championship game against Duke. I think that was back in 2013, 14, 15, something like that. Maybe longer ago. But the South, I think, to me, is, as far as the 1 seeds are concerned, this is probably the easiest region to advance out of, and at least for what I can see.
Yeah, Houston, the road that Houston has to play St. Mary's, and then potentially, to figure out where they're going to play between Illinois and North Carolina, VCU and whatnot. This is a region that is ripe with potential upsets, like a McNeese, like a VCU, like a Troy. And at the same time, it also looks like an easier road if things go chalk, so to speak, for Houston and Florida to face off for the right to go to the Final Four after facing off in the national championship last year. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, breaking down the bracket and assessing my predictions the morning after. We're here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We'll be back right after this.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. Could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, We just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening the doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people, that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing. And so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time in the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and in those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community any way we can, and I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
Hey everybody, this is Rockney Roberts from Willow Rock Brewing Company. We are here in Cicero at the Willow Rock Pizza Pub.
And I'm Kevin Williams, also from Willow Rock Brewing Company. Happy to be here and happy to be partnering with CNS and Dan Tortora.
You want some place where you can feel comfortable and hopefully ingratiate yourself with the community. And Kevin, he grew up right down the road from here. I grew up in Brewerton, so not too far away. We know the area, we know the people, they're great, and we were just really excited to be able to come to the area.
Yeah, and having the opportunity to meet some of these coaches, some of the people in general already, and seeing the CNS colors kind of around, and already partnering on a smaller level with individual teams really made this make sense to us to really formalize kind of a partnership with the school and get this rolling.
Willow Rock to me has always been about high quality beverages, high quality experiences, and now high quality food at our pizza pub. That was something new for us when we came to Cicero. Right from the drop, we knew we were going to have a focus on the highest quality food to go with our high quality beer. At the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, you're getting high quality, hand cut, top notch ingredients. We're open for lunch. That's a really important thing for us, is to be able to get that person in here like, hey, you only got 30 minutes for lunch, but we're gonna have something for you that you can get quickly and available to everybody.
Yeah, we wanted something that was just a little bit outside the box, a little bit outside of comfort zone, but still something that you could rely on to be consistent and easy to look at and easy to be like, oh, I can see myself eating this. I can see myself wanting to have that more than once. Eating a whole pizza like our beef on weck pizza, I've never seen one anywhere. It's just a great ideas, great inspiration across the board. We're their spot to stop. We're their friendly neighborhood watering hole, as well as pizza place and place to stop for a restaurant. Not just beer drinkers here. We've got wines, we got cocktails, we got non-alcoholic stuff for the kids.
The location is more important today than it ever has been before, and we're lucky enough to be here in Cicero. The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is a place where you can bring your family. You can come in, you can grab a soda, you can relax. You can come after a game, before a game, your parents, your grandparents. Our goal is to make sure that everyone's comfortable here. We want students, we want athletes, we want your coaches. It's going to be a good time. So come here, enjoy the high quality food, high quality beverage that we're going to offer to everybody. And hey, go North Stars.
We're so happy to have the North Stars. We are very much a kid-friendly establishment. We have tons of space outside for everybody to be playing outside, as well as listening to live music, enjoying some pizza.
The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is open 6 days a week here in Cicero. That is Tuesday through Sunday. And our website is willowrockbrew.com, and our socials are at Willow Rock Brew. So find us on the net, find us in person. We'll see you soon.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open for sales and service Monday through Saturday. You can go online to GreatLakesHondaCity.com at any time and see their new and used vehicles you can buy and lease today from Great Lakes Honda City. Murph and I are breaking down what the predictions look like for me in the bracket. I released a video yesterday about my bracket seeding predictions as well as the at-large bid predictions, and we're going through the bracket now that the bracket has been released the morning after. And so now we head to the Midwest, Michigan's bracket here, and Michigan loses to Purdue in the championship game, but the committee felt good enough about Michigan to keep them where they had them, which was being a number one overall seed. So let's take a look first and foremost at Michigan, because when I was trying to figure out these number one seeds, I didn't have Michigan being here. So I'm looking at it right now, and I'm looking at Michigan's basketball schedule here for the men's side of things. So let's take a look at the Michigan Wolverines and what they did. Overall on the season, Michigan came out of the Big Ten with a record in the conference of 19-1 and 31-3 overall. So my question was, what were they going to do with Michigan? Now, non-conference, they beat Oakland, who is unranked, Wake Forest unranked, TCU, who is unranked, Middle Tennessee, who is unranked, San Diego State, who is unranked. They beat Auburn by 30, who is ranked. They beat Gonzaga by 40, who was ranked, which is nuts. They beat Rutgers, who is unranked, Villanova, who is unranked, at Maryland, unranked, LaSalle, unranked, McNeese State, unranked. And then they went into the conference and they beat ranked USC. They beat unranked Penn State by 2 on the road. They lost to Wisconsin by 3 at home. They beat Washington on the road. They beat Oregon on the road. They beat Indiana. They beat Ohio State. They beat Nebraska, who was 5th in the country at the time, by 3 at home. They beat Michigan State on the road. They beat Penn State. They beat Ohio State on the road. They beat Northwestern on the road. They beat UCLA. They beat Purdue on the road when Purdue was 7th in the country by 9. They lost to Duke by 5 in a late non-conference game. And then they beat Minnesota, beat Illinois on the road, who was ranked 10th in the country. They beat Iowa on the road. They beat Michigan State, who was ranked 8th in the country at the time, by 10. Beat Ohio State, beat Wisconsin, lost to Purdue in the championship game 80-72. So I didn't know where they were going to put Michigan. But again, surprises here. I think it was that there was no, like, besides Arizona and Duke, I feel like there was no, like, this is a definite one. And because, you know, some of these teams did not, that maybe were ones going into their conference tournaments, maybe they were predicted to be NCAA tournament ones, because they didn't win their conference tournament, I was a little concerned for them. But Michigan ends up getting a 1 seed. They're going to play the winner of UMBC and Howard. Not surprised at the 16 line there at all of the two teams that are there. Georgia getting in. I predicted that Georgia would be in. They were one of the last teams that I looked at. Their NET ranking wasn't that high, and that's like their quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, quad 4 records and yada yada. So I'm not surprised that Georgia got in, but they were one of the last teams that I was looking at. The St. Louis mother-freaking Billikens. Let's go, baby. I had the A-10 getting more than one team in, and they did. Happy for the Billikens. Big fan of the Billikens. By the way, if you grew up and you watched the Gummy Bears show on the Disney Channel, the villain in the Gummy Bears cartoon looks like the St. Louis Billiken. So that's just kind of fun for me. But shout out to St. Louis. I'm happy that they made it. Texas Tech, I did have getting into this out of the Big 12, so I did pick them as an at-large bid, so I got that one correct. Akron wins their conference, and Akron wins the MAC. So Akron moves on. Am I surprised with them being the 12? No, I thought that they'd be somewhere around that world 12, 13, 14. And then looking at Alabama getting a 4 seed, I did predict that Alabama would get in here. Alabama was one of the top teams in the SEC going into the conference tournament. And then Hofstra from New York. That's right, baby, the Hofstra pride. How about this? Siena gets a 16 seed. Hofstra gets a 13 seed. This is where I don't agree. Because if Hofstra's going to get a 13, then I think Siena maybe should have been a 5-12 matchup or somewhere around the 13 region, something like that. But this is what they get. I'm happy for Hofstra. They pull Alabama. We'll see what happens from here. Hofstra, of course, won their conference tournament, which was the opportunity that they had to get in with the CAA and a record of 24-10. Tennessee gets in. I predicted Tennessee would be an at-large bid, so they did get in on that. And then the 11 line, Miami of Ohio and SMU. Now, I originally had my ACC 8, including Florida State and not including SMU. Then I was thinking about SMU, and I'm like, wait a second, I got to put SMU in this thing. So I wrote SMU down in my notes as an ACC team that I thought should be in. And Florida State doesn't get in. So I disagree. I think Florida State should have gotten in as well, even if they had them play in. But Miami of Ohio, they were 31-0 and they lost a game. And they didn't have a great schedule. They didn't play any ranked teams. But I thought that they should have an opportunity to get in, which means 2 teams got in from the MAC this year, which is unheard of, but it happened and it's great. But SMU being a play-in game, I can understand it because SMU was one of the last teams for me to put in, looking at their net ranking. So I get this. I get Miami of Ohio is in but not in, and I get that SMU is in but not in. So I'm excited to see that this is working out. And, you know, I'm not surprised that both of these teams were put in this position. And I can agree with it. Virginia getting in as a 3 seed. I love this for Virginia. I'm happy for Virginia to get in as a 3 seed. I predicted them as an at-large team. I didn't think they were going to be put this high. So I appreciate the committee for doing that and respecting what Ryan Odom has done in his first year at Virginia. And then with Wright State being a 14 seed, Wright State being where they're at right now. I mean, Wright State won their conference. They won the Horizon League. So shout out to their work and what they've done to get to where they are. But I think they got a really tough matchup in Virginia. Kentucky getting a 7 seed. I had Kentucky getting in. I'm not surprised at the line that they put them on as a 7. And I did predict that Santa Clara would be in. So I'm happy for Santa Clara out of the West Coast Conference. And then Iowa State getting a 2 seed. You know, there's been some high feelings about Iowa State. I did have them as an at-large team coming out of the Big 12. So not surprised that they were regarded high. And then Tennessee State is a 15. This doesn't surprise me either as they get into the conference tournament here with a record of 23-9 and in the Ohio Valley Conference. So Murph, this is probably, of all the brackets we've talked about so far, you see all the circles and no X's. I'm not really surprised in any of this based on the predictions that I had of teams that would get in, based on the understanding of the 11 versus 11, based on where the teams are being put at, and outside of Virginia being put a little bit higher in a good way, in my opinion. I don't think really any of this surprises me outside of the fact of Virginia being put a little higher and Hofstra being a 13 where Siena is a 16.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting region. This is probably the one that I'm going to be paying the next most attention to other than the Florida region. I'm going to address the elephant in the room, Miami of Ohio. I teased it earlier. I'm going to address the elephant in the room. They are about to find out what it's like to play a real basketball team. They lost to a quad 4 team. That was a horrendous loss. And I think it was the quarterfinals of the MAC championship. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, it was right in the beginning, yeah. First game, 1 versus 8.
First game, you lose to probably one of the worst teams you've played all year. I don't care that they were 31-0. If they went and lost in their conference championship, all right, I'll give them that. But when you lose to a team as bad as the team that you lost to, and, you know, I just want to make sure I'm not getting this incorrect with the team that they lost to. They lost to UMass. For reference, folks, UMass then proceeded to lose to Toledo in the semifinals. They were barely above 500. This is one of the worst teams that they have played all year. Yeah. In the conference tournament. Miami of Ohio does not deserve to be here. Come at me in the comments all you want. They do not deserve to be there. They had their chance. Anybody would have put them in if they lose in the conference championship. I would have put them in if they lose in the conference championship. Correct me if I'm wrong. Akron won the conference, right?
Yeah.
Not only do they get in, they get a higher seed than the team that won the conference. To me, I think that this is a complete miss by the NCAA selection committee. I would have put Florida State in over them. I would have put a couple other teams in over them. This was not a good basketball team. They will probably lose to SMU, and if they don't, they're going to get blown out by Tennessee. I would not be shocked if SMU blows them out. This is real college basketball now, folks. This is not, tiptoeing around the MAC. The MAC isn't all that good this year, and you got Miami of Ohio going undefeated in the regular season. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, you won the games you had to. If they went undefeated, won their conference championship, yeah, of course they're going to be in because they get an automatic bid. They'd probably be an 8 seed if they did that. But not only do they not win their conference championship, they lose to the 8 seed in their conference. The worst team that's in the MAC playoffs. It's a literal quad 4 team. If they had a regular season loss to, I don't know, Alabama, let's just say, probably borderline quad 1, quad 2 team. Anybody would write that off and think, all right, it's Alabama. It's a good team. They lost to a bad basketball team. Miami of Ohio is not a good basketball team. They were the product of a ridiculously easy schedule in a bad conference. And they're going to find out, I think they play on Wednesday night. They're going to find out on Wednesday night what it means to actually play real basketball teams. Yeah. I mean, am I going to sit here and say SMU is the best team in college basketball? No. They were the last team in from the ACC. But I am going to pick them to beat Miami of Ohio pretty convincingly. And I'm willing to bet Miami of Ohio is probably going to be the favorite in that game. It would not shock me. I haven't looked, but I'm willing to bet they're the favorite in that game. I would throw all the money on SMU. And then if they do manage to beat SMU, I would throw even more money on Tennessee to beat them. And I think Tennessee, if they win that game and they go to play Tennessee, Tennessee might beat them by 30. Yeah. Legitimately. So I know you disagree with me, and that's okay. I think it's, I think there's valid arguments for putting them in the tournament. Yeah. To me, this was not a good basketball team. This is not a team that deserved to, get any sort of recognition after losing that basketball game. Again, I could safely sit here and say, had they played in their conference championship, they'd be they would have been 33-1. If they lose that, I would have given it to them. Because if you do all that and then you lose your conference championship, that's understandable. But losing to the worst team in the conference that made the postseason in your conference tournament, that's not only embarrassing, that tells me you don't belong in the NCAA tournament.
Well, I mean, I think putting in Miami of Ohio over Florida State, that's where I get lost. And Auburn was a team that I went back and forth with. Do I put Auburn in this thing? Do I not put them in? I put them in as one of my last 3 teams coming out of the SEC because I really didn't think that they had earned the right to get there. But, ultimately putting in Miami of Ohio over Florida State, I disagree with, and maybe over in Auburn. So that's the tough side of things. We are going to take one final step aside here on Wake Up Call.
Can I also hit real quick,
Yeah,
because if you could put that graphic back on the screen, because I spent a lot of time on Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, go Hofstra. Looking forward to seeing them play in the NCAA tournament. Tough draw for them against Alabama. We'll see what happens there, but don't forget, folks, who was the first 16 seed to beat a number 1 seed? That was UMBC. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I think Michigan has some vulnerabilities here, and I think in the second round, if they get through that round of 64, the round of 32 is going to provide some tests for them, and then later on, we'll see what this ultimately ends up looking like. But Iowa State could make it out of this region as the 2 seed. We'll take a step aside. As you know, we started early today because I have to get to Pro Day this morning. So we're going to take our final step aside. We'll be back right after this inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Stay with us for the West region.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's Restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on in to the neighborhood spot Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's K9, ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Find them open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5. Go be a big kid at GG Cards and Breaks and have some fun with the family, with your friends, with your significant other, getting closer to the teams you love, the players you love, and the games you love to play. Big time shout out and big thanks to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. Chick-fil-A has some new menu items, some great things that are going on, and I'm very happy for the announcement that you can go to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt and you can try the Jalapeno Ranch Club Chicken Sandwich with pepper jack, candied bacon, and jalapeno ranch. And they also have strawberry hibiscus beverages now, which includes lemonade, Sunjoy, frosted lemonade, and Sprite. So make sure you get out there and try the strawberry hibiscus beverage at Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, as well as their Jalapeno Ranch Club Chicken Sandwich. That's available to you with all of your original favorites at Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. Can't miss it. Giant brick building, double drive-through. We'll see you over there. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, Murph and I hanging out where sports meets life, and we have one more bracket to do, and we're going to run through it quick as I am heading off to Syracuse Football Pro Day. So the West region, am I surprised that Arizona's a 1 seed? No. Am I surprised that LIU is a 16 seed? No, because the the NEC typically gets 16 seeds, so I figured they would put them on the line because that's where they put FDU when FDU defeated Purdue as only the second 16 seed ever to win against a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. So LIU is there against Arizona. Villanova getting in. I did have Villanova getting into this thing. I was hoping the Big East would get 3. The 3 that I chose are the 3 that they got. Utah State coming into this tournament, they won the Mountain West with a record of 28-6. So not surprised they're there. Also not surprised they're in the 8-9 matchup. Nor am I surprised that Villanova's in the 8-9 matchup. Maybe a little surprised this year, but putting the Big East in the 8-9 makes some sense here. And then Wisconsin being a 5 seed, not surprised. Why? Because they love Wisconsin to be on that line where they get to freak you the heck out. So, this is a very strange world that we live in when it comes to Wisconsin. If I pick them, they lose. If I don't pick them, they win. And going up in the 5-12 against High Point is going to be interesting here. High Point, a congratulations to them out of the Big South. Arkansas being the 4 seed, not surprised here as Arkansas won the SEC. Hawaii being a 13 seed, I'm not surprised in them being in that seeding either. Hawaii winning their Big West Conference tournament. BYU being a 6 seed, I had BYU in as an at-large bid. Texas, I did not have. NC State, I did. So 2 ACC schools have to play their way in. So I understand them putting NC State there, but I did not have Texas as one of my last teams in. Gonzaga being a 3 seed is no surprise to me. Kennesaw State being a 14 seed doesn't surprise me either, with Kennesaw State winning their conference. And, of course, Gonzaga winning theirs as well. Gonzaga winning the West Coast Conference. And after this year, they're going to go to the new Pac-12. So make note of that, folks. And Kennesaw State won Conference USA. Miami getting a 7 seed here is interesting. I thought maybe Miami's seeding will be a little bit higher, but I did pick them as an at-large bid. And Missouri coming out of the SEC, I did not have. So that'll be interesting to see the 7-10 matchup and what that looks like. And then Purdue being a 2 seed after beating Michigan in the Big Ten Championship and having Queens as a 15. Queens was a Division II school just a few years ago out of Charlotte. So shout out to Queens for winning the A-Sun and Purdue for winning the Big Ten. So some surprises here and then other things I had predicted. Murph, your quick thoughts on the West.
Yeah, I think again, it's this is going to be a fun one. I think Arkansas is going to make some noise being the champions of the SEC. Gonzaga is always a team that's there. They didn't win a national championship when they went undefeated, so we'll see what happens there. Gonzaga is always a team that you gotta circle, and this is a team that's really, really good. Miami is a 7 seed again. Is a little bit of a sleeper. You cannot forget about them at all. In terms of what I think will happen upset wise, maybe High Point over Wisconsin is an option. I could see if NC State wins, them beating BYU, but I don't see much else in this. I think Miami's a good 7 seed, so I don't necessarily see Missouri beating them. So, the West is interesting. I got to sit down and do my real research and really figure out who I'm going to pick as my big upsets. But, I could see it being High Point. I could see it, being NC State, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean this region is going to provide for some upsets, I believe, and some teams that maybe others would not think are going to be making it far, could make it farther in the West. With that being said, plenty coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our coverage of the NCAA tournament. Murph, as always, I thank you for your time, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Of course, my friend. Looking forward to the tournament. Go Gators and go Johnnies.
There we go. So with that being said, Murphalation Station here on the broadcast hanging out with us. We appreciate Murph as always. We appreciate you for being a part of the show. And of course, many thanks to all of the watchers and listeners all over the country and the world on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. So we appreciate you for being here with us where sports meets life. And of course, many thanks to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube for carrying our show. And you can find it by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Many thanks to our great team, Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Ma and Pa's, GG Cards and Breaks, Pizza Man, Game Point Sports Complex, Chick-fil-A in Cicero, Mother's Cupboard, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Myers Creek, Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Brian's Landing, Avicoli's, Willow Rock Brewing Company, and the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, as well as being the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Binghamton University Bearcats. The Bearcats are with us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You will find the Bearcats here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. Don't miss a second. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for getting up with us a little bit earlier here today so that we could do our broadcast and bring this to you. My tribute to Rex Culpepper, as well as coverage of the World Baseball Classic, and looking at my predictions of the NCAA tournament and getting Murph's thoughts and my thoughts on the regions. Plenty coming up on Wake Up Call this week. I hope you have a beautiful day. I'll see you from Syracuse Football Pro Day, which is happening in a half an hour. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon.